How have you
I
been? How's
had
the week
to.
been?
Oh, it's been a week. I've been okay. How about you?
Yeah. Dude, I am in, what is it now? The first 8 days away from the next EP. Um, I'm okay. I think work is just more crazy, so it's got my mind occupied. But I'm glad we got a chance to have this conversation. I know it seems like a man with a
Mm,
podcast mic, but it's not that situation. I'm literally just trying to work through and
you
share.
sure?
Okay, it might a little bit, but I think for the most part, it's me trying to create conversations with people who have um, given me the space and the opportunity to work with them and to speak on processes. There may be something you recognize behind me, and that's what our conversation is going to be based on today.
I
Um,
wonder what
but
that is.
for those that are unaware, Ella is the artist to this artwork. This artwork was used in the cover art for my debut album, Adulting Anonymous. Now, while that dropped last year in June of 2023, I wanted to have this conversation because the EP that I'm planning to drop now is connected to that project through my personal life. But I thought it would be great to explain or go into that story from a musical perspective by getting into the
Yeah.
mind and the process of the artist behind what was the image that represented that debut album. Now, we go way back. We met each other, if I remember correctly, at that call center that shall not be named.
Hey, please don't. What a
Yeah.
throwback. But yeah, we met in How, basically. You and I met in How.
Yes, it was a very organized, team-oriented, hellish space. And
Pretty much.
at that time, had you been painting? Is that something that you'd been doing in your private time?
No, not really. I think back then, I think all of us were just worried about the hustle. So no, I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
definitely wasn't paid to then. I
Had
used
you
to paint and
ever?
draw as a kid.
Okay,
Yeah, I
okay,
used to as a kid. But yeah,
okay,
and then I stopped, and then yeah, that was actually
okay.
like my first work ever, like ever since I started up again. So
This one right
yeah.
here.
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna dig into that a bit more because that's pretty crazy. I don't think you told me that part, but what I wanted to know was, as a kid, at the time, are you painting and drawing the way every other kid is doing because of school, or was there some sort of interest or passion looking back?
It was more of like I guess a thing to like get away from things, and it wasn't like a
Mm.
school thing or whatever. It
Okay,
was, I guess I
okay.
could say, a hobby.
Oh, okay, cool. And what age are we talking when this is now a hobby somewhat for you?
Like I'd say early teens before
Okay.
life really kicks off.
Okay, this is right. Probably, I don't know if this is around when High School Musical and them were popping Cheetah Girls and all of that type of sound, but I'm
Um,
assuming that's the energy around at the time.
Roughly, yeah.
Okay, and at
Yeah.
that time, what are you drawing as far as things? Is it? I know with gents, what was popular was Dragon Ball Z, things of that nature. What was on your mind and on your pen?
I was out here drawing Goku and whatever. I'm kidding. No, it
Oh,
was like
I was gonna say
faces
it was pretty
and
fire. I know women they were into like Bratz at the time, the dolls that used to be out and drawing that. Okay, cool, cool. Um, well, let's bring it closer to home in the present. This artwork was really impactful to people who have enjoyed the album, and they've given me quite positive feedback on enjoying the art piece, which I was really appreciative of. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to maybe get into um, how you came about into drawing that piece and what it means to you. And then I can connect that with my story of how I thought it was fitting for the album.
okay. So when a lot of people ask me like, oh, so when did he start painting? I always say, oh, I started in a psych ward. And a lot of people think it's a
Mm.
joke, and I don't feel the need to correct it because it's just like, oh, psych ward, haha, that's so funny. I'm like, yeah, totally hilarious. But I'm actually very serious. I'm
Yeah.
actually so serious. So, yeah, I was going through some things, and then I found
Mm,
myself in a very lovely place, actually.
mm.
Yeah, just to get some help. And they had like your art sessions and whatnot, and that's when it started. That's actually when I did that. So,
Man.
yeah, that
And
was
how
the
long did it
first
take
piece
you
of my
to
healing.
how long did it take you to complete the piece?
Like a day or two.
Okay. I mean that's intense. One, because I relate, not necessarily to drawing in a psych ward, but also having gone through an experience where I needed to go to a place like that to get my mind right. Um,
Yeah.
I wonder about the relationship now between art and mental health in this way, in a space like a psych ward, you've got people coming to you and telling you, hey, this is what's wrong, this is according to the charts and according to the standards, this is what's needs to
You
be
tick these
fixed.
boxes.
You know what I mean? So this is your level of not normal, and this is how we're going to get you to be normal again and to be integrated
Yeah.
into society. It's a lot, but I'm interested in the extent to which this was impactful in your life while you're going through a process that has a system and medicine and all of that.
I think it was basically just the whole thing of like reminding myself that there's beauty in what seems like, there's a saying I'm looking for. There's a
I hear
beauty in the
you.
madness, literally.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and just returning to self. And sometimes I think we get so focused with just life constantly moving, you forget that, it's okay to just sit down. So for me, art kind of forced me to just sit down with myself. And it's still something I do when I'm just feeling a little overwhelmed. It's just like, okay, let's
Mm,
just sit
mm.
down. So yeah.
I love how you put that, because I think it reflects the way my relationship with music has been up until this point, right? Before the
Yeah.
process of starting this EP, I was someone, I guess, moving in and new to the city. And until then, the music I was creating was just to make sure that like I can process my depression in a healthy way, because I can't afford therapy, right? Now this is like what,
Hey,
2014, and we're working in
hey.
hell, as we've just established. The
Yeah.
warmongers are there telling us, hey, drive those sales, don't let them cancel. You're going
Get those
outside,
numbers.
racists from other countries have been swearing at you. You just going home with not enough to change the lives of everyone at home, but you're also trying to save for your own personal
Barely
dreams.
anything, to be honest.
Your phone is telling you, hey, look at all these people who have facades and real lives that you also might like. There's a lot going on. And I think at that time, just ahead of releasing the album, all the songs in that were speaking to myself processing through a series of emotions and a series of situations that reflected, okay, we're growing up and you need to kind of figure out where you're at and what's up, whether that's friendships, relationships, professional working environments. All those things were
Yeah.
changing, and art was the thread that kind of kept everything together, including my own sanity, to the point where at least now the relationship with it has become about the process itself purely, and allowing different feelings, not just the ones that held me down. Because now, after having processed them, it seems that there's a level of growth that I can take, or at least just a song that I can listen to remember that, hey, you're not that guy anymore. Do you ever look at pieces with that lens, or is it a matter of like your dopeness is limited, or it's not something you entertain after that? You're just kind of like, that was cool, but I don't want to go back to that. Like some presenters don't want to see themselves on TV. Some singers don't want to hear themselves singing, or comedians watch themselves afterwards. They just want to focus on the craft and move forward.
Yo, okay, that's a interesting question, but I do think I have taken a bit of a pause on it because I think I tried to like make
Mm,
painting a thing, move it away from what I initially was using it for, and that's my
mm.
healing. Now it's a thing
Okay.
of like people, oh, can you paint this and can you paint that? And that kind of took the joy out of it for me.
Mm, mm.
So yeah, I just realized that sometimes art, it's okay for art to be a very personal thing. It's okay for art to be something that you share with just yourself, especially
Yeah.
when it's on like when it's linked to something so deep to you, because healing is
Mm,
kind of a solo street. It's something you do alone, and it's
mm.
okay not to share that sometimes.
Yeah, that is so true. You
So
find all the
yeah.
geniuses speak it the same way you're doing, right? It's like, nah, I don't want the light. Don't give me the light. It's too much. You know what I mean? But
No,
that's
but I feel
beautiful.
like
Mm,
yeah, but I feel like with most artists, it gets to that point when you try now doing it for the money and whatever, it gets to a point where it's no longer something you love, it's now a
yes.
job. You've turned
Yeah.
your love into a whole job, and that kind of takes
Yeah.
away from it. So
That
that's
is
what I
so
was trying
true.
to refrain from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some days have definitely felt like a job for me. I think once the music is done and now you're thinking about how do I present this, having these types of conversations, that's the part where I'm just like, I'm having flashbacks of that other place we came from. You know what I mean? In as far as the intensity and the stress of it all. But I
Yeah.
really appreciate you saying that. I think art is personal. I think art is something for the self, at the very foundation of it all. Um, Okay, okay. So going forward, how is your relationship now with painting? Is it you mentioned that you've taken a pause, but I just want to understand it. Does it mean that you're just creating for yourself at this time, or you're just not monetizing or fulfilling any briefs?
It's honestly just a me thing. Hey, like I'm having a
Yeah,
bit of an overwhelming day. Let me go sit in the
yeah.
garden and paint type of thing. Like it doesn't
Mm.
have to make sense because I think also like being somewhat of a perfectionist, sometimes you're like, oh, I want to make this perfect. And now it's just like, dude, if I'm just doing this with the paint
All
on a
day.
canvas, that's
Yeah,
perfectly fine. If I'm just splashing, that's okay. Because sometimes it's just seeing the colors come together that just makes me feel better. It might
yeah.
honestly look like shit, excuse my language, but
So
that's
good.
fine because it's for me.
Nice. Okay. Do you have any other passions that you entertain, like painting as a hobby?
Yes. So this year has been like a full reset for me. So I am on like a
Mm,
sabbatical. So I'm
mm,
just like
mm.
just focusing on finding things that make me happy. So I used to play the cello in high school. Now I'm going back into that. So that's
Ah, okay. I was
pretty
like, hey,
exciting.
I don't recognize what's in the back there, but that's dope. That is dope.
Oh, that's my baby Chloe. Say hi to my
Nice.
baby.
Shout out was good.
Yeah.
Okay, which of the two would you rate then if you had to rank them? Not to say that arts should be ranked that way. It's like asking you to pick between your
I don't
kids. I
think I
understand.
can. That's like
Okay.
asking a mom who's your favorite child. They have a favorite, but they're not going to say it out loud. So,
So what we're saying is
yeah,
there
no,
is a
I can't
favorite.
imagine.
We just can't talk about it.
Not
Kyle might be
yet.
listening.
Yeah, no, the paintings might be listening, but
I hear you. I
yeah.
hear you. Okay. Do the two ever influence one another, at least in the times when you were active as a painter?
I don't think so. I think like I kind of struggle with doing a lot of things at the same time. So when I took up the cello,
Mm,
it was like, okay, I'm just gonna like chill on the painting for a bit because I kind of want to get back. That's also now another task of
mm.
relearning certain things because high school was like a
A while
decade
back.
ago.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
So I've
Okay.
just been focusing on that mainly. But we'll see. Maybe in the near future there might be something.
Yeah, no, I definitely wish that for you. I guess I want to thank you, man. Thank you for making the time. I haven't seen you in a minute, but I really appreciate you giving this the opportunity to just connect and understand like what it is that informs the artwork, because I think to summarize, I enjoyed this piece because you were in the process of working through your own self and your goals and that
Yeah.
healing journey that you mentioned. And that was pretty much the same way I had approached the music that informed this debut album. It wasn't about what the figure was and what the image is, more than it was that the artist themselves was fulfilling a specific purpose of healing in the music. And that for me was the connection between the painting and the project. So yeah, I want to thank you for honoring me with that. Um, when you come back in the game on these streets, please, I'd love to work
You'll
again.
be
So I
you'll be
appreciate
the
that.
first person I hit up.
Let's go. Let's go. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. I think for anyone who's watching, please do follow Ella. What's your handle, Ella, so that people can know what's up?
The way I barely exist on social media, but I am the Ella on
Okay.
Instagram and everywhere else, I guess.
Okay. Thank you so much.
But
Yep.
yeah, I also want to say thank you. Like it was an honor for you to put that out there, and especially with such an amazing album. I feel like a lot of us can relate to Adulting Anonymous because it's real. Like it's struggles that we've all faced, and yeah, you're doing great.
Thank you. Thank you, man. You know what was hectic? I think maybe as something else is like I didn't think the concept of Adulting Anonymous would land with people because maybe it felt a bit too taboo to be like, why are you saying we can't be you struggling with being an adult, bro? And I'm just like, we have these conversations in certain spaces, whether as
We
friends
do.
meeting up and life hits us, we see the economy, it's burning, but we let things like social media and those standards inform how we should engage on those topics as and when those trends come in and out. But I'm
I
glad
think
that
we joke. Yeah, sorry to
no, no,
interrupt,
carry
but I
on,
think
carry
we
on.
joke about how
Yeah.
like adulting 0 out of 10 would not recommend, but then now when there's projects like this that actually talk about it, it's just like, but it's something that we've all spoken about, and now you've actually made a platform for it. So that
Appreciate
in
that.
itself
Yeah.
is something so beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it's not to also say that there aren't projects like that in the world and locally, you know. I think it's just a continuation. I know from my life that we first started with Black Dog in my life, where it was just like, okay, cool, I'm going through depression. Let's make it look high end so that people don't think about all these deep chats that I'm having about my life
Let's make
being
it
a
cool.
let's make it cool, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And now we're kind of, you know, swinging the cool back in favor of the candid stories that's around this phase of my life. And now moving after that into journal entries, it's more about, okay, you've got a sense of who this guy is, but let's see who this guy is living life and navigating things with some sort of stability, or at least better than where we came from, which is the best that I can hope for every day, you know? So yeah, shout out to that.
Exciting
And
times ahead. I can't wait for the new EP though.
yeah, shout out, man. I think it's going to be great. It's dropping on Women's Day, so it's for you and yours. Thank you so much
Nice.
for existing as Black women. Shout out to that. But we'll chat. Thank you so much for this conversation. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Please say what's up to your sister, to the little one, to everybody. All right.
I will.
Thank you.
Bye.
Carve out the words that were genuine. It's letter with money off of your uncles and heritage. Holding knuckles with wedding ring. I'm getting ahead of myself, safe in the present sense. There's honey and etiquette. I'm tracing the blessing made from the scars and their recompense. Peeled off a pessimist to heal for my relatives.